The Mets continue their homestand tonight at Citi Field. It's been quite a tumultuous few days for Terry Collins. Fires to put out in his bullpen, fires to put out in his own dugout as the Mets get set to keep on going tonight against the Cincinnati Reds. At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Cincinnati Reds. And a pleasant good evening, everybody. I'm Gary Cohen at Citi Field. Keith Hernandez and Ron Darling join me in just a moment as the Mets get set to open a two-game series against the Reds. Last night, the Mets finished up their series against Milwaukee. They lost the game 8-0, but very little of the conversation was about the result. What it was about were the events of the seventh inning. DJ Carrasco allowed a home run to Ricky Weeks that made it 8-0. His next pitch hit Ryan Braun. Carrasco was immediately ejected from the game. Now, Terry Collins made the decision to take David Wright out of the game, drawing some vehement argument from his de facto captain, and David came back for more conversation with Terry later in the evening. And after the game ended, Terry made it quite clear exactly what he had in mind with his decision.
In my opinion, and why I took him out of the game, he wasn't getting hurt. I'm not accusing anybody of the possibility of retaliation, but I don't blame the umpires for doing what they did. I don't blame the other team for any perception they had of what happened. But I got news for you. In this game, there are unwritten rules. And one of the unwritten rules is you hit my guy, I'm hitting your guy. They're not hitting my guy tonight. I'm not exposing him to being hit. He said, if anybody gets hit, I want it to be me. And I said, I'm sorry, it isn't going to be you. They're not going to hit Jordani Valdespin. But they will hit David. If they're going to retaliate, they're going to hit David Wright. And that ain't happening tonight.
Now, as soon as Ryan Braun got hit, you know, Keith, that David Wright had to expect that he was going to come to bat and get hit. So as he came into the dugout and Terry made the decision to take him out, you can understand why he was so hot.
Well, I think it's admirable that David wanted to play. I mean, David's a gamer, doesn't want to look like he's backing out of a situation where he might get pitched at. What I found so interesting, Gary, is that you've got an old school manager and someone that played the game and was probably a hard-nosed, old school type player. And if the situations were reversed and it was Terry Collins, I think he would have had the same reaction that David had towards his manager. And there was no animosity there. David was just vehement on his point of wanting to stay in the game. So that's what I found interesting. I thought that he was going to let David get hit. If they retaliated, then it's over and settled with, like David said. But it didn't happen that way.
Well, we know about the conversations between David and Terry Collins. We know that DJ Carrasco said that he did not hit Braun intentionally. What we don't know is what transpired in the conversation between Wright and Carrasco.
You know, from the pitching standpoint and being in that position before, there are always repercussions to your pitching style and your pitching act. And by Carrasco hitting Ryan Braun, what he caused the Mets is a little bit of a problem. He was there to get some work. He was there to get 9 outs and clean up the game where the Mets were getting routed. Instead, by hitting Braun, Ramon Ramirez had to come in, and he had to pitch 2 2/3. You don't know if he'll be ready today. And also now he put his best hitter, his best player in harm's way. It'll be interesting to see when they go to Milwaukee if the Brewers have a short memory.
And that won't be until September, so we got a long time to wait for any repercussions from that. Meanwhile, the Reds are in town, and Johan Santana is on the mound. Mets and Reds coming up from Citi Field. All the action coming your way on SNY. Getting ready for his 8th start of the year. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Geico, by Budweiser, by Men in Black 3 in theaters May 25th, and by AT&T Rethink Possible. Hitting the road, take the Mets with you this season. Subscribe to MLB.tv today to see every Mets out-of-market game live online and on your favorite devices in HD quality. Visit Mets.com to order and get more details. MLB.tv, baseball everywhere. Santana's handshakes underway. Must be approaching game time. In fact, it is. First pitch is coming right up. It's brought to you by Scott's. Visit MLB.com/fan guide for a chance to win a VIP experience for 2 this year at a World Series game presented by Scott's, the official lawn care company of Major League Baseball. Send your Mets to the 2012 MLB All-Star Game in Kansas City. 2013 coming up at Citi Field. Vote up to 25 times by logging on to Mets.com or LosMets.com and cast your ballot for your 2012 All-Stars now. Vote early, vote often, and vote Mets at Mets.com. Here is the Cincinnati Reds starting lineup, brought to you by Ford. Jay Bruce is sitting tonight. Bruce, the other big left-handed bat, next to Joey Votto, because Johan Santana has been so strong against lefties this year. The Reds have been underperforming offensively so far, just 11th in the National League in runs scored, and Santana will try and keep them down tonight.
Well, it's interesting. You see this record of 1-2, that fine ERA. In his 4 no decisions so far this year, Johan Santana has only given up 4 runs in 23 2/3 innings. 63 games over 500 for his career with 134 wins.
And the Lexus Mets defense, a lot of new changes here. Baxter out in left field. He's hit so well off the bench. He's earned this start. He's been fabulous the last 10 days of the season. Turner gets another start at shortstop. Neuenhuis moves over to center field, where he's quite adept. Everybody else is same old lineup.
Dusty Baker, 2 years ago, led the Reds to a National League Central title, where they promptly got no hit in the postseason by the Phillies in their first game. Last year, they slumped to just 79 wins and finished 3rd. They're a game over 500 as we start play tonight. Zach Cozart, the rookie shortstop, leads off. Cozart hitting a .246. Went 0 for 9 in their just completed series in Atlanta. First pitch driven to left center field. Overcomes Neuenhuis. One pitch and one retired. And that's been the story for Santana as he gets the fly ball out from Cozart to start the night.
He is aggressive. It does not have fear of contact, and he goes right after these hitters.
So 1 out and nobody on, and this is a very aggressive Cincinnati team. They are not standing around looking for walks, and in Drew Stubbs' case, he has to try to attack early to avoid striking out.
This is the anti-Met approach here by Cincinnati.
Stubbs hitting at .239. Multi-talented player, power and speed, but bedeviled by the strikeout. Fanned 205 times last year, 39 already this year.
That's amazing. Only 7 walks. This is the team with a .302 on base percentage. So they're hackers.
Slider to the right-hand batter early from Santana. A ball and a strike. Johan has had a lot of success against the Reds. In fact, he's working on a stretch of 16 consecutive scoreless innings against Cincinnati. Of course, he hasn't faced them since 2010, but he's 4-0 lifetime against the Reds.
6 starts, 1 relief appearance against the Redlegs.
Joey Votto waiting on deck, so you always want to get Stubbs out in front of Votto, the most dangerous hitter in the lineup. A ball and 2 strikes to Stubbs. Votto, who Sunday had a 3-home run walk-off grand slam game against the Nats. Nobody had ever done that before in Major League history. He had 3 home runs in a game, capped by a walk-off grand slam. Another slider from Santana, and it's 2-2. Johan had a rough first inning against the Marlins his last time out. Gave up a triple on a ball that maybe should have been caught, a bloop single, and then a 2-run homer to Austin Kearns, and he was 3 runs behind before he could blink. And then, to his credit, in Santana-like fashion, he didn't allow the Marlins to score another run for the next 5 innings. Mets would eventually rally, take the lead, but lose the game in walk-off fashion, 6-5.
He is uncanny after an inning or 2 to figure out what he has going and what he doesn't.
3-2. Fastball is fouled at the plate as it comes up and hits Stubbs, and it's still 3-2.
You know, he was. Well, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Go on.
You know, Terry Collins was saying that, you know, Santana was out all last season, and he was asking people, you know, what it's going to be like to watch Santana. And he said everyone to a man kept telling him, you know what, I don't know what he's going to be like when he comes back, but you'll love the way he competes.
8th pitch on the way, and he throws the changeup. It's a dribbler. He's got to let that go foul against the speed of Stubbs. And it stays 3-2. Let's check out the inside pitch on Johan Santana, brought to you about the Xerox business of baseball. Xerox, ready for real business.
Gary already mentioned he's throwing a lot of sliders early, but he's going to need that slider against the left-handed Votto. That's the key. They have some guys who can run here, Stubbs and Phillips. He has to control that running game and start a new winning streak here for the Mets after that blowout last night. 7-3 in their last 10 games for the Mets.
Stubbs has already seen 8 pitches in this at bat. And he fouls off another fastball to make Santana work that much harder.
And you wouldn't think a hitter like Stubbs would give Santana a deep pitch count here. Having a tough at bat, as Gary said, led the league in strikeouts last year with over 200. My goodness.
Led the league in strikeouts because Mark Reynolds went to the other league. 10th pitch of the at bat coming, and it's popped up shallow center, and that's going to fall in for a base hit. So Stubbs wins that battle with a bloop single, and the Reds out the first base runner of the night.
Well, pretty good at bat here. Jammed him with the fastball in, got it there, but little L wedge out there in the center field. Nice little bloop.
It's a really nice angle of grip and release from Santana.
Just places the ball right near his ear before he releases it.
So here is Joey Votto, former National League MVP, off to another good start, especially with that big game that he had on Sunday. He had only 2 home runs before that game. Now he has 5 for the year, and he leads the league in doubles with 16. 10th in the league in slugging percentage, and to boot, he leads the league in walks.
Well, Brandon Phillips behind him in the on-deck circle hitting cleanup. It's really not a cleanup hitter, and he's off to a struggling start, starting to heat up lately. But I'm not going to let Votto beat me.
And the changeup fouled off, and it's 0-2. Well, he had a game to remember on Sunday. Not quite Josh Hamilton's 4 home runs in a double game, but pretty darn close, with 3 home runs, including that walk-off grand slam. And they were a run behind with 2 out in the 9th when he hit that grand slam, unlike the one that Stanton hit against the Mets, where the game was already tied. Here's the 0-2 and a late swing foul.
That was like a Murphy swing right there. Very defensive. Way off the plate, but he strides in. Well, that's emergency right there. That's not a swing to be proud of.
It's a heads up in the on-deck circle swing right there.
Santana looking to put Votto away. First, I'll check in on Stubbs, who has 6 steals in 7 tries. The Reds don't do a lot of running, but when they do, Stubbs is a prime contributor.
Well, Stubbs sold, what, 40 last year.
Dusty Baker recently got his 1,500th career victory, managing his 150th game against the Mets tonight. Here's the 0-2, and the breaking ball hits slowly. Murphy shovels over to second for 1, and Turner's relay in time. Mets able to turn 2 on a very slowly hit ball and get Santana through the inning. 4-6-3 with Turner, the inexperienced shortstop in the middle, getting the job done. Kirk Neuenhuis leads off against Mike Leake. As we check out the Geico Mets starting lineup, Andres Torres and Ronnie Cedeno both getting the night off tonight. Mets are in a stretch of playing 20 straight games without a day off, so everybody will get at least a day at some point during that stretch.
Well, Mike Leake is the kind of guy that he doesn't throw awfully hard. Throws a lot of different pitches, sliders, slurves, curves, and has got off to just a horrible start.
Well, he's been the weak link in what has otherwise been a very good Cincinnati pitching staff this year.
Say he's been in the middle of the plate. He's been behind everyone. And this is after a year that he led the team in wins, ERA, and strikeouts.
Neuenhuis back in that leadoff spot with Torres getting the night off and immediately works the count to 3-1. Mike Baxter second in the order tonight and earning a start with his remarkable pinch hitting success. So Leake immediately behind his first batter, and Nieuwenhuis pounds one foul, and it's 3-2. Well, you remember as you look at Brian Price, the Cincinnati pitching coach, Leake got off to a great start his rookie year, having never played in the minor leagues. He was drafted in 09 and didn't play that year after he was signed late, and came right to the major leagues to start 2010, and he was big time early in the season. Nieuwenhuis takes one the other way, and he has a leadoff hit. But since that great start, since the All-Star break in 2010, Leake is 14-17 with a 4.7 ERA. It really hasn't translated.
Now the Coors Light Reds defense, we're going to highlight Votto. He won his first Gold Glove last year, and I had the great pleasure of presenting him that award in the Gold Glove dinner in New York over the winter. And such a good kid. He works hard. Remember, he came up, his glove wasn't so hot. He's worked hard.
And they have a 3-time Gold Glove winner at second base in Brandon Phillips. Here's Baxter, hitting at .393. Most of that as a pinch hitter, where he's 8 for 17, leading everybody in pinch hits and in pinch hit batting average.
Well, good hitting by Nieuwenhuis, a sinker ball pitcher, taking him to the opposite field.
I mean, Terry Collins talks all the time about, if I want my bench players to be successful, I've got to get them 4 at bats every once in a while. And this is a chance for Baxter to do just that.
Baxter and Turner.
There's a strike on the inside edge, and Leake gets ahead 0-2.
That is the toughest job for a manager, is managing your bench, making them feel a part of the team. You can't let them just rot on the bench.
Well, Terry's done an amazing job of that early in the season. Bench has been a huge part of the Mets' early success.
You can sometimes let them rot in the American League, but you certainly can't let them rot here.
Leake ahead 0-2, and Baxter dribbles one foul. To me, it's just been remarkable that Baxter has been able to absorb the lessons of the pinch hitter as quickly as he can.
Well, you know, it's one of those things. Your best pinch hitters sometimes are the left-hand hitters. You know, for some reason. And there's a guy pitching way off to the first base side of the rubber.
And one of the points Terry made today about Baxter is that he has probably the perfect swing for a pinch hitter. It's not a lot of movement to it. He's just got a nice short stroke. So there's not a lot of moving parts that you have to keep in tune.
He's got some pop, but he's not a home run hitter.
And he's been hitting line drives with regularity. Nieuwenhuis runs the pitch inside. Mesoraco with the throw, and did he get him? He came off the base, and he's out. The second base umpire, Jerry Meals, was going to rule Nieuwenhuis safe, but he overslid the bag.
Well, just a little slider down and in. Nice job by Mesoraco coming up. He's got a gun. He's going to miss the tag. He gets there. And let's see that back left leg, Keith. Does it stay on? Oh, I think it stayed on.
Zach Cozart put the tag on the heel, but I think Meals ruled that that toe came off momentarily.
So always keep your glove on the base runner. You might slide past the base. That was some fancy footwork by Mesoraco. Watch this. He's got to catch a slider behind the runner. Look at him sidle. That is just beautiful footwork.
And, you know, that's the first base runner that Devin Mesoraco has thrown out this year. Strike 3 called. Baxter caught looking for the second out. Mesoraco, a huge prospect. In fact, considered the Reds' #1 prospect, with a great bat and a solid arm, but he had been struggling big time to throw people out until he got Nieuwenhuis. Here's your Coors Light freeze cam, which reveals all.
Yep.
Oh, just by an inch. It's a game of inches.
Good call, Jerry Meals. So the base is empty for David Wright, who was 2 for 2 last night before he was infamously pulled for a pinch hitter. Now hitting at .408. The highest batting average for any Met at this point of the season in their history. And for that matter, the highest batting average that a right-hand hitter has had, 120 at-bats into a season, since Manny Ramirez 11 years ago. To give you an idea just how hot a start David has got going.
And speaking of Manny Ramirez, he's starting a little rehab down in, where, AAA? Can you believe that?
No.
I think he's able to come back at the end of May, something like that.
Well, doesn't he have 100 game suspension?
I don't know what's.
There's a little blurb in the paper today. He's with the Oakland Athletics, obviously.
They could use him just to get some people in the ballpark. And curveball by Leake misses, and it's 3-1.
Well, they've okayed that new stadium for the A's, right? Haven't they not? Are they going to build a new stadium down in San Jose or Santa Clara?
Well, originally they were going to build one in Fremont,
right.
Which is just, you know the area, Keith.
Yeah.
Just south there on the 880.
Well, they want to go to San Jose, but the Giants won't let them because they have territorial rights.
The Giants draw from the West Bay, and the A's always draw from the East Bay.
3-2 coming to right, and he checks the swing and takes ball 4. 23rd walk that Wright has drawn this year, and the Mets have a 2-out base runner. This is the same umpiring crew we had for the 2 games with Milwaukee. Paul Emmel has the plate tonight. Gary Darling, the crew chief, was behind the plate last night and threw up the immediate ejection of DJ Carrasco.
Lucas has had little starts and stops kind of a season. Hasn't really caught fire.
Ball trickles away from Mesoraco, but no move by Wright. Well, Lucas at 257. It's been better than 3 weeks now since he had a home run. So
he's taking a lot of pitches, and they keep feeding him on that outside corner. And I said the same thing about Ike. Start attacking that outside corner, then they'll pitch you in. You know, they get you out one way, Gary, and they're gonna go to that well until you prove you can hit it, and then you start taking that pitch away, getting your base hits. Then they're going to have to come into the inside part of the plate and pitch into your strength. I do think the outer half of the plate is a strength for Lucas.
And Leake falls behind him 3-0. Well, there's an interesting logjam coming. You know, Jason Bay is starting to get himself in a position to start playing baseball again, and you look at the Mets roster right now and you wonder if nobody else gets hurt when Bay comes back, what happens? Lucas swings 3-0. First time a Mets done that all year, and he gets a base hit. There's just an article in the Wall Street Journal today about how no Met had swung at a pitch 3-0 all season, and Duda becomes the first to do it, and it pays off.
Right down the pipe. I think Terry Collins is trying to get him to get aggressive. A little more aggressive. Nice swing. We always like the swing of Lucas, and that's where he's got to look. Belt down. That's his wheelhouse.
So runners at the corners with 2 out, and now Daniel Murphy, who's riding an 11-game hitting streak, the longest of his career, and has that batting average up to .336 for the season.
Well, coming off the Milwaukee Brewers being here and the shift against Murphy, especially in that first at bat. No shift here by the Cincinnati Reds.
I don't think we'll ever see that again.
Yeah.
Not against Murph. I think that was a one-off.
You got to gap Murph and play him straight up. He hits the ball over the place.
Lee keeps trying to pitch those left-hand hitters inside, but he hasn't been able to catch that corner. And he's just been red hot with the bat. Ike Davis, Mike Leake's Arizona State teammate, waiting on deck.
Murph should eat this pitcher up with his stuff. Sinker ball pitcher should be meat and potatoes for Murph, right into his strength.
By the way, we got confirmation, Keith. Manny is eligible May 30th.
That's right. Yes,
which would be his 40th birthday.
I thought I read that correctly in the paper today.
And his 100-game suspension reduced to 50 while he was sitting out last year. And Leake again misses that inside corner, and it's 2-1.
He's only hit that inside corner once for a strike against Mike Baxter. Once.
Sinker ball pitchers, their bread and butter against to run that sinker on the outside corner. There are very few sinker ball pitchers, right-handed, I ever faced, were comfortable throwing inside.
Punch to second, and a one-hopper fielded by Phillips. And that gets Leake through the first inning. 2 hits, a walk, but the Mets can't push one across. No score after 1.
I'd like to know what you think about what happened last night with Terry Collins pulling David Wright from the game. Let us know what you think. Tweet to @SNYTV with the hashtag SNYMets. And we'll check back later in the game and see what you said.
Well, you know something, I think looking back 20 years ago, this wouldn't have even been a story unless someone got hit and charged the mound and there was a big brawl. You know, there always happened a lot.
Well, I don't think 20 years ago a manager would have ever taken his star out of the game in that circumstance.
Well, I was watching one of the old games on SNY this winter of the Mets in the mid 80s, and there was a game against the Los Angeles Dodgers where Niedenfuhrer threw a pitch that hit Ray Knight. Ray charged the mound. Big brawl. Everyone in the pile in the middle of the field. Everyone got up. Niedenfuhrer got up, pitched, and Ray went to first base. No ejections, nothing.
Yep. How is that even possible?
Nothing.
Brandon Phillips hitting just .252. It's been a very disappointing start for him. Just 2 home runs as he takes high 1 and 2. Well, Keith, I was wondering, you know, once Braun was hit and David's out of the field the rest of that inning, and he knows he's leading off the next inning, he had to be thinking about, okay, well, I lead off the next inning. I know I'm going to get drilled, right?
You would say to yourself, well, there's a strong percentage here that I'm going to get. I'm going to get drilled the first. You know, the fact when you hit the best hitter, it was a perfect storm, like Ronnie said earlier, because now the Mets' best hitter came out. I've always felt that it's the pitcher throwing the ball. Hit the pitcher. You can't with a reliever. There's a ground ball to short.
Turner handles the one hopper and throws out Phillips.
I mean, David Wright didn't throw the pitch, but you know that's the old rules. But as a hitter getting up and you know you're going to get hit, it's a lot of bravado going on, a lot of machismo. You know, I got thrown at and hit sometimes, and you know you just don't want to flinch. You don't want to back up. You're ready to bail, turn your back, and take it in the in the back or in the fanny. But you don't want to back out too quick and look like you're, you know, it's a lot of male going on out there, a lot of male ego.
Well, you know, you not only face situations like that, I'm sure you did, but you also face pitchers who were just wild and could hit you, you know, through no intent. So is there any difference in terms of how you, I don't know, prepare to be struck by a pitch? I don't know. Can you even do that mentally?
You know, and you just know to turn your back, and you don't stride in. You see it coming. When they want to hit you, they throw it 2 feet behind your back, because your natural reaction, your first impulse is to back up, and you back up into the pitch, right, Ronnie?
Yeah, you know when a guy's hitting you. I mean, he's got his face not on the strike zone. He's got it right on your numbers. That's where he's looking.
And another thing, too, Gary, they're not trying to throw a strike on the corners and the knees, so they rear back and they fire it.
1-2 to Heisey, and he takes the changeup low, 2-2.
I will say, from a pitching standpoint, though, there's a real badge of honor to be known around your clubhouse as a guy that will protect your hitters, and that's something that you wear proudly. And when I was with the Mets, you could do that anytime you wanted to. When I went to the A's, Tony La Russa called every single time he wanted someone hit. Well, not someone hit. He would let you know if you could.
Duda catches the fly ball from Heisey for the second out. But of course, now when you have one of these situations against a team from another division, it can be so long until you face them again. I mean, we ran into that bizarre situation 10 years ago after Roger Clemens hit Mike Piazza and then threw the bat at him, that they had to wait 2 more years to face Clemens, and then a pitcher, Sean Estes, who wasn't even with the team when the original incident happened. Everybody expected him to hit Clemens, and he threw it behind him, and he missed him, and the whole thing. It became such a cause celebre, but it stretched out for so long because, you know, you weren't playing these teams 18 times a year.
Well, I guarantee you, a few years back, a few decades back, it won't be forgotten that someone would have gotten. Oh, we go to Milwaukee, someone will get drilled.
Well, we'll see. We won't know that till September. Ludwig pops one up. Murphy retreating and calling, and that retires the side. So Santana sets the Reds down 1-2-3 in the second. Mets will come to bat in the bottom of the second. Ike Davis set to lead off. No score at Citi Field. Home second inning, Ike Davis leads off against Mike Leake. These two were teammates at Arizona State, where, frankly, Ike might have been the better pitcher of the two. He certainly threw harder than Leake. But now they're on opposite sides, and Leake starts him off with a changeup. And that's been the story of Ike's season.
Yep, they're just not giving him anything fast early in the count.
The Bloomberg folks ran numbers on Ike's season in terms of what he's seen, and there's another changeup. Last year, according to Bloomberg, 58% of the pitches Ike saw were fastballs. This year, 48%. That's a huge difference.
It is a big difference.
The counts, too, when he's ahead in the count, they're not giving him the fastball. I bet you it's a higher percentage of off-speed breaking stuff. 2-0, 2-1, 3-1.
3 pitches, 3 off-speed pitches to Davis to start this at bat. Justin Turner on deck.
Fastball in here. There we go. Ones that comes back. Did not.
He won't double up here. He'll go back out.
Well, he's given up 6 home runs so far. You get a little shy inside when guys have been taking them over the fence.
Lefties have been just pounding him. 348 the left-handers are hitting.
And the 5 of the 6 home runs have been off the left-handers. Cambio, little changeup.
2-2 to Ike, and he pulls that one. Brandon Phillips moves over. And there's the first out of the inning. So Davis retired. We'll go back to our Toyota tweet of the game. We asked what you thought of Terry's decision to pull David Wright in that situation last night. Tyler M. Sports says, great and wise decision. Like the decision and David Wright's fire. And I think I had somebody say this to me tonight. He said, it's very rare that you see 2 people in a public argument and you gain respect for both of them.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way most people feel about it. At free ball says understood the rationale, but I didn't see the end of that. Go back. Said it was unnecessary and it lingers till September.
Overprotective, unnecessary, and lingers. Yes, I agree with both those tweets.
It's pretty wishy-washy of you.
Oh, I thought a putty cat.
Justin Turner making his 8th start of the year. He started at all 4 infield positions, and he drives this one up the middle for a base hit. So the Mets have their 3rd hit off Mike Leake, a 1-out single for Turner. Who knows how to tweet?
Well, sinker that doesn't sink, too much plate. Yep. Right down the middle. Nice hitting. Got to take advantage of those mistakes.
Now Mike Nicky is with 1 out and 1 on. So Keith, we were talking about your mindset when you think you might get hit by a pitch. Is there one guy who hit you more than anybody else?
Well, I wouldn't know, but our statistician over there, Dave, just passed me the note. Larry McWilliams of the Braves, a left-hander, and the Pirates sidearmer, hit me 4 times. No one else hit me more than once. And he hit me in the head in Atlanta on a twilight doubleheader. I'll never forget the first at bat was really in the shadows, but it fortunately would just ricochet off my helmet. That's more anxiety because McWilliams has a little bit wild and he threw hard. Boy, you thought twice about digging in and staying in.
So you'd go up against Larry McWilliams and you'd be anxious?
I would go up. I would look in the paper and say, "Oh, McWilliams today. I got my work cut out for me. I'm gonna, he could throw one behind my back and behind my head. I can't bail out. He was a tough mark. He threw sidearm. He had a good slider and a forkball.
Now, I know this is a word that we hate to use in this game, but was there fear? Did you have fear as you went in the batter's box against him?
That's a little extreme. I was not comfortable off him, but you just can't back down. Also, I guess I was 16 for 59 off him, 271 batting average, 1 home run, and 9 RBIs. I remember the home run. He threw me. We lost that game. We were down like 10-0 after the first inning. And Davey pulled me. It was a day game. I was so happy. I got up on the bottom of the first. He threw me a split finger down and in. I don't know how I hit it. I hit a home run down the right field line. And I got out of the game. I said, Skip, perfect. Whoever the pitcher was, I was taking the dinner. They got knocked out. He was just murder. He didn't know. You couldn't. get a feel for him, because sometimes he didn't know where it was going, particularly when he was younger. So you couldn't go up there and say, okay, he has a pattern how he pitches me. It was all over the place.
1-2 to Nickius. Mike takes a call, third strike. Fastball from Leake for his second strikeout.
Ironically, the person I hit the most is going to be a new inductee to the Hall of Fame for the Cincinnati Reds, Barry Larkin.
Really?
Yeah, hit him 4 times.
Really?
I really like him too. I don't know how that happened.
So there was never any intent.
No, you know, with Barry, what happened with Barry? Barry stood right on that plate, and his hands were almost over the dish, and the only way to get him out was to pitch him in. Result, you're going to have some nicks.
Santana 1 for 11 at the plate this year. Well, being hit by pitches is certainly part of the game, and you can absolutely understand David Wright's rationale for wanting to be there, for wanting to take the punishment, for wanting to be that kind of a leader, because that's what he aspires to be. And I think that, as adamant as Terry was after the game, I think if the situation were to come up again, I think he'd make a different decision.
It was like you were reading your new book here, Keith. It was like Henry Clay, The Great Compromise. Each side was a little unsettled after it was done.
Turner at first with 2 out. Mike Leake sporting the old school stirrups, although those are not old school shoes. Change up 2-2.
They look old school though, don't they? They look like Bronco Nagurski would put those on.
Yeah, maybe not old school baseball.
Yeah. Maybe it's just the laces. Laces are.
Didn't they have one sock that was a fake? I mean, that's 2 socks. There's Sannies under there.
Phillips getting a lot of work early in the game, and he throws out Santana to end the inning. So a hit and 1 left. On to the third we go with no score. It's a city of trains, isn't it?
It is. Metro North, next stop, Bridgeport.
New Jersey's own Todd Frazier leads off for the Reds as we go to the third. Frazier grew up in Toms River, part of a Little League World Series team down there, and then played his college ball at Rutgers. Getting a chance to play right now because Scott Rowland's on the disabled list. Something that's been an all too frequent occurrence the last few years since Roland hurt his shoulder a few years back. It's that same left shoulder bothering him again. Frazier's making his 10th start of the year. He's hitting .270. It'll be Frazier, then Devin Mesoraco and Mike Leake to bat against Santana, who now has 18 consecutive scoreless innings against Cincinnati. Something about those Reds. I mean, there are only 4 guys in the lineup today who've ever faced him before.
Sometimes you just feel comfortable against a team. Frazier must have a lot of family here.
When did Johnny B. Baker graduate from wristbands to forearm bands?
He's been moving, inching them up higher and higher.
Still has the toothpick. 0-2 from Santana, and Frazier takes the changeup in the dirt.
What was that character in the Something Like It Hot movie when they had the St. Valentine's Day massacre? It was Toothpick Charlie that got,
that's right,
that got aced out in the parking garage.
Wait a second. Where's the toothpick?
I didn't see it.
Neither did I. Frazier goes down swinging. Santana's got a real good changeup tonight. That's his first strikeout of the night. Check out the Mazda Mets upcoming schedule. You can listen to all Mets games on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. Day game tomorrow, wrapping up this series with R.A. Dickey on the mound. Then the Mets played their first interleague games in Toronto over the weekend. And then the Mets go to Pittsburgh for 3 before coming home for an 11-game homestand starting a week from tomorrow against the Padres. Don't know if the Blue Jays are going to have their bright young star Brett Lawrie available. He was handed a 4-game suspension today after bouncing his batting helmet into Bill Miller's leg last night. Whether he'll be challenging that suspension or not, I'm not sure.
And then some clown threw a drink at Bill Miller as he was leaving the ballpark, going down into the dugout.
Devin Mesoraco, the rookie catcher, has struggled in the early going. Takes a strike. Devin hitting just .213. We mentioned that Kirk Neuenhuis was the first base runner he's thrown out this year. Devin is from Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, and it's almost like he decided there were 6 extra weeks of winter.
That's right. He was frigid. I've never heard of a player from Punxsutawney.
Only Phil.
Yeah.
3-1 to Mesoraco. And he pulls one into the glove of a leaping David Wright for the second out. David timing that jump just perfectly. He has been almost perfect at third base this year.
Watch this snap, Keith.
That was 3-1, and that was 3-2. And this was Brett Lawrie.
Oh, he can't do that.
He banged it on one hop into Miller's leg. And you know, Joe Torre, who helps mete out discipline for Major League Baseball, said he didn't feel as though Lawrie threw the helmet at Miller intentionally, but if you're that close to the umpire, you just can't release that piece of equipment. Now, I was a little disappointed in John Farrell, to be quite honest, because he defended Lawrie after the game, and I think what Lawrie did was fairly indefensible.
Exactly. Even if the call is wrong, even if you see it on the video, it's wrong. There's a way to react, and that certainly is not one of them.
I mean, when Delman Young threw a bat at an umpire in the minor leagues, he got what, 50 games?
Yeah. So he's lucky he didn't come up and cut Bill Miller or do something horrible.
Hit hard toward the hole, and Leake, one of the best hitting pitchers in baseball, has the Reds' second hit off Santana.
Trying to come in with the fastball. Leake, as Gary said, really handles the bat well and rips a shot past Turner.
You know, I was just thinking, we mentioned that at Arizona State, Ike might have been the better pitcher. So far this year, Leake's got a higher average than Ike does.
That's right.
So 2 out and a runner at first. Zach Cozart, the rookie shortstop, takes a strike. So the Reds are playing a lot of young players. You got the rookie catcher, you got the rookie shortstop, you've got Frazier, who's a very young player, filling in at third base. Ripped down the left field line, and that's going to be an extra base hit for Cozart. Leake, who can run, is on his way to third. It's picked off the wall by Baxter. Turner's relay throw to the plate. The slide, he's safe.
As Leake takes a tumble after scoring, he's okay. He's given the Reds a 1-0 lead, and Kozar with a double winds up on third on the throw. A little face plant there for Leake. That's not your average pitcher running the base.
He made a terrific turn at third base. And that's the difference here, because the Mets execute a nice relay throw in. Beautiful throw into the plate. He just got in front of the tag.
And then he was down for the count.
Well, he made a nice turn there, Ronnie.
Until they traded him for Sean Marshall, they're the two fastest running pitchers in baseball, Leake and Travis Wood.
So 1-0 Cincinnati, and now Drew Stubbs takes a strike.
Good slide, too. Gets that foot just in time.
Yep. He'd have been out if he did that invoked slide that you'd slide by the bag and touch it with your hand.
Off the fist to shortstop. Awkward pickup by Turner, but he throws out the speedy Stubbs to end the inning, and that saves a run. But the Reds get the first run of the game. Leake able to slide in safely on the double by Kozar, and the Reds lead at 1-0. To you by Verizon Fios. Switch to Verizon Fios for America's fastest, most consistent, most reliable internet. By your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. And by Brooklyn Burger. Get a complete recap of tonight's Mets-Reds matchup with insider info and opinion, plus up-to-the-minute Mets news as they get ready for tomorrow's series finale here at Citi Field. On Mets Blog, presented by Verizon, featured on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Well, Mike Leake, after a 270-foot dash and a face plant after scoring, heads back to the mound with a 1-0 lead.
The young guy's taking his lead.
Ronnie, when you have done what Leake just did, do you have to take time to compose yourself before you take them out in the next inning?
You hope not, because all the work that you do in between starts, if you can't do a 270-foot dash, and that's going to upset what you do on the mound, I think that you're probably not doing enough cardio in between starts. That being said, if you are on base for a long period of time, I'm talking about, you lead off an inning with a hit, and you get the second, you're out there for 20 minutes or so. That can be a little disconcerting, because a lot of stops and starts. Your brain is so into making sure you run the bases correctly that you got to snap it back to pitching mode.
New and Ice at a base hit to left his first time up. And
And Leake again missing that inside corner. He's had trouble picking that off tonight. Mike Baxter and David Wright to follow as the Mets are down by a run in the third. Leake, who lasted just 3 innings his last start against the Nationals, and looking for his first victory of the season. The Reds, though, overall have pitched very well. Their bullpen, considering the fact that they're missing some very important pieces in that pen, has been spectacular. And really, their pitching is the reason they're over 500 right now, because their offense just hasn't produced the way it probably should.
You know, I know I'm calling it after the door is open, but Nieuwenhuis had that hit in his first at bat. You were talking about Murphy and others. This is a good pitcher for Nieuwenhuis also. Most of the balls middle of the plate away.
They're staying inside on Nieuwenhuis.
You see, and Leake can't get that inside corner.
You've got that bend in that sinker, and he tries to throw it at the hip. It's a very touch and feel pitch. It's not an easy pitch to get over, because you're afraid that if you miss, it's going to get out over the middle.
3-2, and Nieuwenhuis down swinging. So Leake finally gets a strike coming inside to him, and that's his third strikeout.
The one before it was the one that comes back. This one he cut a little bit.
Yeah, it's a cutter and not a strike, and that's Nieuwenhuis has shown a propensity to swing at that little slider down and in.
That's 40 strikeouts for Nieuwenhuis and 121 at bats. So 1 out and nobody on. Now Mike Baxter took a call third strike his first time up. And isn't it interesting? Baxter has been so aggressive coming off the bench as a pinch hitter. And that first at bat, it was almost like, okay, I got 4 at bats today. I can be a little more patient this time. And now he goes back to attack mode and swings at the first pitch. David Wright waiting on deck.
Well, they've got to lay off the left-handers. That down and in slider, that's bad from Leake. They've been fishing after it. Make him throw it for a strike. Easier said than done.
He picks off the outside corner with that changeup, 1-2. Now Leake went right from college to the major leagues. 10th player to do that since the draft began in 1965. Didn't put Xavier Nady on that list. He was one of them. Dave Winfield,
Bob Horner,
and the ill-fated David Clyde in Texas, right. 17 years old out of high school and straight to the majors. Here's the 1-2 to Baxter, and it's up and away, 2-2.
How about Joe Nuxhall, straight from high school?
15 years old.
It's a little more impressive.
Youngest player in Major League history. Of course, that was during World War II.
Yeah. He didn't pitch again in the major leagues till I think the early 50s.
And Baxter drives one into right center for a base hit. Izzy gets over to cut it off, and so Baxter has the Mets' 4th hit of the night.
Fastball right down the pipe, and he covered it.
That's a good swing, isn't it?
Yep. So now David Wright, who walked his first time up. You get a team coming in to face the Mets right now. You look at David's numbers, and you know the Reds haven't seen Wright. They don't play him in spring training. Do you approach this series saying we're just not going to give him anything to hit? Runner goes. Baxter got a huge jump, and he steals the base with ease. His 2nd of the year.
Well, Baxter's a guy that stole a lot of bases in his minor league career. He's got good speed, and in spring training, Ronnie, we didn't realize how quick he was.
Yeah. I marveled how I got his speed was we saw him score from first a couple times on balls that we didn't think he would.
Right. Had 22 steals a couple of years ago in AAA in Portland in the San Diego organization. And here's Leake throwing it well off the plate to right.
So, you know, Baxter doesn't play every day. He's a guy that can sneak him. No?
Leake doesn't look like he wants any part of David.
And that goes back to my question. Is that scouting report, is that game plan on the part of the Reds that we're just not going to let David Wright beat us?
Oh, absolutely. Scouts that were in here from the last series in Milwaukee, they probably just went back and said, listen, just do not let David Wright beat you right now.
He's hitting 400. I don't want to pitch to Ted Williams.
He started the night with a .497 on base percentage because he's also getting walked a lot. And he walked his first time up today. And that's fairly obvious that the Reds have no interest in pitching to right, particularly after the stolen base with first base open. So David has drawn 2 walks from the Reds tonight. Lucas Duda coming up next. Keith, do you have any parting shots before you bail out on us?
Well, no, Garrett. There's no reason. I'm going to leave you for around 6, 7 innings, and 6 innings. Go downstairs and get behind home plate, and there's no need to say au revoir.
Well, au revoir, means till we meet again. Right? Adieu would be more final. Inside to Duda 1-0. Duda singled to right his first time up. Well, we always love it when you gain perspective, and we're sending you off to the hinterlands to gain a little perspective.
But we're going to put you on camera because we're a little afraid you'll be at exit 60 if they just put you.
Oh, pull a Phil
Rizzuto on us.
Well, what
league 6 in a row out of the strike zone behind Duda 2-0.
Question for you, Ron. When you pitch around, and everybody's different, every pitcher's different. There's accomplished pitchers, and their pitching coach is going to go out there right now. When you pitch around someone, and the league started off this last inning was a good one for him, does it throw you off your rhythm?
I think he'd throw you off the way he did it. He threw the ball like 2-3 feet outside, not even close. So you're trying to throw the ball 3 feet outside. Sometimes it takes you a couple pitches to get back on the corners, So it's just the way he went about it. I think if I were facing David and you didn't want him to beat you, you might throw first curveball. Maybe change up down, do some pitches that are maybe not strikes, but something that maybe David will offer at.
Well, these days, David's swinging at very little other than what's in his wheelhouse. So Brian Price has said his piece at the mound. And, well, Duda swung 3-0 his first time up, and this might be another situation, 2-0 after a walk to right, where he's got to be looking dead red on 2-0. There's Miguel Cairo, the former Met, yucking it up with Bronson Arroyo. And Duda rips one up the middle for a base hit. Baxter around third. He heads for the plate. The throw goes toward third. It's an RBI single for Lucas Duda. And the Mets have tied the game at 1. Well, Duda using positive counts to his benefit.
I have got to believe that Dave Hudgens has told Lucas to get more aggressive at the plate. Yeah. He's been taking too many pitches, fastballs. Who wants to hit a curveball?
You've been saying it all year. You guys taking 2-0 fastballs, 3-1 fastballs.
But it can't work for everyone, right? I mean, one style can't work for everyone. Duda's got to be more aggressive.
And he has been tonight, swinging 2-0, swinging 3-0 his first time up, and now the Mets have tied the game. 2 on for Murphy, and he lofts one to shallow left. Late start for Ludwig, but he gets there, and he makes the catch, and sliding back into second is Wright. Ludwig looked like he got stuck in mud when that ball first went up in the air, but there was enough air under it for him to make the play.
This so far, this is the second time through the order. And this has been a pretty, Greinke last night just had outstanding stuff. It didn't, he could have did breaking stuff. He overpowered that lineup. But this young man out here is coming in struggling with an ERA over 7, and he's a control pitcher, not overpowering. This has been the best game plan as far as strategically pitching Met hitters.
So now league's fellow Sun Devil, Ike Davis, steps in. Ike grounded out his first time up, 0 for his last 15 now. And he lofts one out to center field. Stubbs started back, now comes in. And that retires the side. But the Mets get even. Lucas Duda with an RBI hit. Driving in Mike Baxter. 1-1 after 3. in Mets history that bring a smile to the face of every Mets fan, and one of those is Ron Swoboda, better known to his teammates as Rocky. Big home run hitter in his first season in the big leagues, but probably best known for that catch in the World Series of 1969. And Ron Swoboda is standing by with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
Yeah, Gary, and you could tell, that catch, Ron gets asked about it all. You just had a guy come up and shake your hand in there about it. Like I said, man, I'll never forget that being at that game. Does that ever get old, though? I mean, do you just love when you're walking down the street and someone comes up and shakes your hand and says, thanks for making that grab?
Well, it's going to happen more often here in Citi Field.
Sure.
Somebody said, how long are you going to keep trying to make a living off of one catch? I said, how much time do I have left?
Hey, I would ride that gravy train, no doubt about it, Ron. You were obviously, came to the Mets before the draft.
Yeah.
How did that come about? How did you sign with this team?
Well, I played for a guy who was a bird dog scout, a part-time scout with the Mets when I was 15, 16 years old. And he walked into my house one day with Whit Matthews, who was the scout that signed Stan Musial when he was working for the Cardinals in St. Louis. And he offered me $35,000. Now, my mom and dad made about $12,500 between them, the two of them working. I've always said the most dangerous place in the world at that point in time would have been between me and that piece of paper I was going to sign, unless you wanted to get run over.
That's a lot of change back in the day, as we see Votto walk here, Phillips now against Santana. And when you sign that deal, you come to this team, they're a newer club. They had two obviously awful years. What are you thinking about the organization?
Well, you know what? You bought into the fact that they were going to get better and that it was going to give you an opportunity to get the big leagues quicker. And that's what they sold to you. And you know what? It turned out that way. And the other thing was you got to play for Casey Stengel. I mean, I got a half a season in with him, and I got my first year in spring training, 1964. I got to go to big league spring training playing against Roberto Clemente and guys that, that were heroes of mine, as a kid.
You talked about playing for Casey and obviously Gil Hodges, the great Gil Hodges, when you win the whole thing in '69. In that NLCS against the Braves, you sweep them. You didn't get in that bat. Now, I know Gil platooned a lot, but, what was it like to sit through that whole thing? And then the World Series came, and you had obviously the catch, but you had a great World Series, too.
I had good seats, And Shamsky was the right fielder when we faced right-handers, and that's the way it was. And I knew if we got through that one, once we got through it, I looked at the Orioles, and I knew they had 3 left-handers, so I had a chance to go, Well,
it worked out very well for Mets. Before we let you go, you were broadcasting the Zephyrs for the Mets. You still down there for the Marlins?
Yes, we're affiliated with the Marlins. Had a couple of nice years with the Mets, and we do. I love AAA baseball.
Yeah, Ron, it's great catching up. You look great.
Pleasure, man. Thank you.
Ron Swoboda, guys. He's here, by the way, for Citi Tuesdays. Citi doing a great thing for their card holders. Every Tuesday, come here to Citi Field and all kinds of discounts on tickets, merchandise. You can check it out. Mets.com/Citi Tuesdays. Back to you, fellas.
Part of the Citi Alumni Association. Thanks very much, Kevin. Swoboda, he's one of a kind.
Yes.
He really is.
Yes.
Grew up in Baltimore, but has really made his home in New Orleans, and he's a New Orleans kind of guy.
Yeah, right. Laissez le bon temps pour les kind of guy. I was thinking, when I think of Ron, I always think of the game against Carlton. Right. 2 2-run home runs.
The game that Carlton struck out 19, and
the Mets win 4-2, something like that. And then the other thing is that catch now, Seaver threw the pitch, Brooks Robinson hit the line drive.
Yeah. And Robinson has always said he thought for sure he had a hit.
Right off the bat.
And the thing about it was, the situation was such that that ball gets behind Swoboda, the Orioles take the lead. Brandon Phillips takes high, and it's 2-2.
That's one of those plays. There's his 69 season for Ronnie. So that platoon worked well with Art Shamsky. Art had a nice year also.
Okay, Shamsky had 3.
Yeah.
Two to Phillips, who grounded to short his first time up. And that's it in the air to right. And Duda's right there waiting for it. Tagging at first is Votto, but he's not going anywhere. Just drawing the throw from Duda for the first out. But Swoboda's right. I mean, Gil did a lot of platooning that year. He had Cranepool and Clendenin platooning at first base. He had Kenny Boswell and Al Weiss platooning at second. He had Ed Charles and Wayne Garrett platooning in third, so he did a lot of that. It wasn't just Swoboda and Shamsky.
No, the 2 championships for the Mets, they had platoon players in both years.
Right. And the Orioles did. They had Dave McNally, left-hander. They had Mike Cuellar, left-hander, to go with Jim Palmer in that rotation. Chris Heisey flying to right his first time up. And there's the good changeup from Santana.
Heisey coming off 2-3 hit games in a row. He was struggling now. Before the game, raised his average to 260.
6 for 7 in that series in Atlanta. Heisey, a part-time player, started about half the games for the Reds this year. Fastball for a strike, 0-2.
Interesting, Santana's tempo and pace much slower tonight than you've seen in the past. It's only one other game where I saw his tempo slow, and that was in Atlanta. Tough start.
It's a game he couldn't get out of the second inning. And Heisey pops one foul. That'll come back out of play. Votto the runner at first. Not much of a stolen base threat. And Heisey watches one in the dirt as Nikias blocks out with the chest protector. And it's 1-2. The Mets and Reds don't get to see each other that much anymore, but you think about the rich history between these two teams, going back to the 1973 League Championship Series, which the Mets upset the Reds. You think about those classic games, in particular, one in particular in 1986 that you guys played with them.
That's right.
The Eric Davis, Ray Knight one-punch affair.
Ended up in a big brawl, and that was the same game that Roger McDowell and Jesse Orozco finished that game, alternating pitching and playing in the outfield, and Gary Carter played third base at the end of that game.
Double play ball. Turner sweeps it over to Murphy, and safe at first is Heisey, who really got down the line well. And that ball first came off the bat, looked like a tailor-made double play, but Heisey beat the Rapid first.
Kind of stuck in the glove a little bit there for Turner. Nice turn by Murph. Good throw. Heisey runs pretty well. And watch Votto. No, he doesn't really get in there too much to try to get Murph.
You see the pirouette by Murphy?
Yeah.
He's become a little bit more adept around that bag, just in terms of figuring out ways to get himself out of harm's way.
He's not quite Nureyev, but he's on his way. See how the ball kind of rolls up his glove, but that is a good turn. Can't get any better than that.
Ball strike to Ryan Ludwig, so Heisey aboard with 2 out. Ludwig popped up his first time up. Talking about the Mets and Reds legacy, of course, more recently, 1999, the Mets and Reds played a 1-game playoff for the wild card. Wasn't much of a game.
It's Al Leiter game, right?
Leiter pitched a shutout. Ricardo Alfonso hit a home run in the first inning, and that was basically it. Ball and a strike to Ludwig. And that propelled the Mets to the wild card, and they wound up playing 6 games in the League Championship Series that year before the Braves prevailed.
It became a big series in the mid-'80s because of Eric Davis and Darryl, both from the Los Angeles area, trying to outdo each other.
And they wound up teammates with the Dodgers. 2 balls and a strike to Ludwig. Ludwig had that one big year with the Cardinals a few years ago, but it's been hard for him to sustain success. Todd Frazier on deck. strike. Santana consistently at 88 with his fastball tonight.
The big red machine, Gary. 1970, 72, 75, 76. Wow. In the World Series.
Not 73.
Nope.
I mean, the Mets in 73, it's really one of the great undertold stories in Mets history. A team that was in last place on August 30th. Won only 82 games, but survived what that year they called the National League least. And then played 2 dynasty teams in the postseason. I mean, we played the Big Red Machine, which had all those great seasons in the 70s. And then they took on an Oakland A's team that wound up beating the Mets in 7 games, the second of 3 straight World Series titles. And a full count to Ludwig. And the Mets, you know, they were up 3 games to 2 in that World Series. And as huge a miracle as 69 was, 73 in some ways would have been even larger if they pulled that off. Just because of their circumstances that season. I mean, the 69 team, miraculous as they were, they won 100 games that year. No miracle. Just great pitching.
That's right.
Heisey gets set to run. 3-2 coming to Ludwig, and the changeup misses for ball 4. So 2 walks in the inning from Santana, and the Reds have 2 men on. And Todd Frazier, the local kid, will get a chance here to unknot this game. Frazier struck out his first time up. Just 2 hits in his last 19 at bats. And Warthen looking on as the pitch count rises for Santana, about to throw his 65th pitch of the night.
Let's see, the defense really played over to pull is Turner with runners on first and second. Murphy up the middle, relatively deep for all the outfielders.
Frazier's a guy who has come up through the minor leagues without a particular position, but his big tool has always been power.
Well, it's interesting, you know, to have this shift on and not much of a book on Frazier. Got a big swing. You know, it was really going to be a difficult play anyway with Heisey's speed, but the Mets did not turn that double play. That's 9 pitches more that Santana has thrown now in this day and age of the binoculars on the pitch count.
Well, and especially for Santana in this post-surgical year. He threw only 82 in his last start. That gives him a little bit more leeway today. It's ahead on Frazier 0-2. And it's well up high. Frazier had 15 home runs at AAA last year, and then 6 more with the Reds and only 112 at bats. So it justifies the book on him, which is a low average, high power guy. One, 2 on the inside corner, strike 3 call. Now looking at the slider. Second strikeout for Santana. They both been against Frazier. 1-1 game in the 4th. And Reds are tied at 1, and Keith has found his way down to the front row. There he is.
Nice. Well, Gary, I'm down here in the front row, the VIP section. This is a wonderful seat, and I have been observing here the first half inning. I've been down here. I was kind of focusing on infielders and outfielders positioning themselves before the pitch and all the different styles. Murph is always moving. That inning he had to hold a runner on, but Murph's very active, very fidgety. But that's his makeup, who he is. So
there's Keith's perspective. Turner shoots one down the right field line, and that goes foul.
Keith, can you see the break on the pitches from the players here? Like Santana's slider, were you able to see it breaking? Or
well, I'm a little bit off.
Yeah,
I'm too far to the left of home plate.
Okay,
I've got a kind of a tough angle to really tell. And Santana, I can tell the sink, obviously, but I'll keep an eye on the right-hander. That's a whole different pitcher than the right-hander. Yeah, I can see the slider. He's got a little down slider. He's not overpowering. He's a control pitcher. No question.
He's allowed 1 run and 5 hits, and Turner keeps the at-bat alive.
Mike Leake is really an interesting player, isn't he? I mean, 40-6. We saw those numbers in college, but he's not a traditional guy you would draft in the first round. He's not that 6'7" guy who throws 95 miles an hour. He's he can spin it.
On the contrary, he's 5'11", and 5'11" right-handers who throw 89 miles an hour don't necessarily go in the first round as he did. He was the 8th overall pick by the Reds in 09. 3-2 to Turner, and he yanks one foul.
Leake throws hard enough with his break and stuff, Ron. What I find interesting is that we watch on TV and we're looking at monitors, or even in any other sport, all the athletes always look like they're adults, 30 years old. I mean, they are adults, but Leake's a baby face. I mean, you can tell he's a 24-year-old kid. With TV, you kind of lose that.
Right at the shortstop, Cozart, and he throws out Turner, 1 away. Well, the ringlet curls certainly help in that regard.
Well, pretty good breaking ball here, broke down, and nice at bat by Turner. He stayed in. He just pulled it, kind of, pulled the breaking ball instead of going the other way.
Keith, what I always marvel at is that down there on the field, you don't realize how these infielders make those plays look so easy. That ball was hit extremely hard by Turner.
Well, that was good fundies on that ground ball, and there's another one right here. He's the easy one. These are the ones you always pray for.
So Cozart makes both plays. He gets Nickias for the second out.
Well, the infields are so much better today than they were, Ronnie, when I played. There's always a couple, 2 or 3 infields that were awful. But now the major league infields are just so manicured, and they drag the fields every 3 innings. There's hardly any bad hops you ever see.
But the flip side of that is, and Terry Collins was making this point the other day, is that almost everybody now keeps their infield grass very, very short, and so the ball gets on the infielders a little quicker than it used to.
Yes, I've noticed that a lot. That it aids the hitter. There's no question. You get a base hit in the hole there. I can remember Wrigley Field. Wrigley Field used to always, when I came up in the 70s, right-hand hard sinker ball pitchers, and they would cut the grass. They wouldn't hardly ever. The grass would be 4 inches long. I am not exaggerating. It was a lion's mane because they want to gobble up the ground balls.
Well, teams generally tailor their fields to their personnel. The Cubs in those days had elderly infielders who didn't have a whole lot of range.
When I came up, Don Kessinger was still playing shortstop.
Well, I think for me, when I watch the infielders now, the guys that don't have the good fundamentals, like you're talking about, Keith, are always surprised when they get a bad hop now, and it's very revealed that it's harder for them to make the play.
Well, there's always, the game's never changed. Never take anything for granted. A bad infielder or a good infielder. If you can get in front of it, get in front of it.
2-2 from Leake, and Santana hits one right at Phillips. So 3 ground balls generated by Leake in that 4th inning. Sets the Mets down 1-2-3. Keith will stay in his cushy seats, and we'll be right back.
'64 All-Star Game. The first at Shea, and all the big ones were there. Juan Marichal, Henry Aaron, Ken Boyer, Harmon Killebrew, and of course, Mickey Mouse.
Get your former manager in there, Keith, Ken Boyer.
I know. As Mr. Met was a lot younger back those days, too.
Well, you notice Lindsey Nelson said all the big ones were there. Devin Mesoraco leads off for the Reds in the 5th in a 1-1 game. Mesoraco hit a line drive that David Wright caught with a leaping grab. His first time up. And a good changeup by Santana to start him off.
One thing for certain, Ron, is Santana does not tip his pitches. I've been watching. Sometimes a pitcher does something different with his off-speed pitch. There's no giveaway. Well, obviously, he wouldn't be the pitcher he was if he gave it away.
Keith, when Santana's topping out at 88 on his fastball, and you're down there watching him from ground level. Icy as Mesoraco, badly fooled, tosses the bat in the stands. Was he aiming at you, Keith?
No, it was to my left, but believe it or not, it missed those people. Got someone. They got him in the wrist. They got him in the wrist, that gentleman.
Hit the chair first, took a little steam off him.
He's hurting. A little more pine tar.
It's another reminder, it's hard to catch a bat.
Yeah. Folks stay in there, though, don't they?
There's the 1-2, and he got him. Santana with his 3rd strikeout. I was going to ask you, Keith, down from ground level, when you've got a guy like Santana who's such a master, topping out at 88 miles an hour, do you get a better feel from that perspective, just how he gets it done?
I would love to be a little more to the right, where I had more of an angle looking directly at him. But I would love to be able to switch over from side to side. So right now, Leake's up, a right-hand hitter. I would like to get on a little bit on the first base side of home plate. And a left-hand hitter be on the the third base side, and get more of a look. But I can certainly see the sink in the changeup, Gare. I can see the downward movement more than I can the sideways movement.
By the way, there was a Golden Glove hand we just had.
Yeah, we did.
Oh. His hand's very adept with a fork and knife, too. Multi-talented.
Leake had a base hit to left and scored the Reds' only run. Now 3 for 11 this year, lifetime .257 hitter when the night began. It's seen some of the better hitting pitchers in baseball this last week. Zambrano, Gallardo, and now Leake.
And Greinke's not bad either.
And that's looped into shallow right, and it'll fall for a base hit. So Leake is 2 for 2.
Well, just a little change up on the outer part. Leake not trying to go that way, honestly, just off the end of the bat.
Didn't hit as far as, say, Kelly Leake.
But still, Ron, not bad. It's a pitcher. You know, once every 5th day, he's got an idea up there.
Anytime you have a pitcher who's going to make contact, put the ball in play, good things.
Well, here's Zach Cozart, who drove Leake home with a double to the left field corner his first time up. And he pops this one foul. That'll come back out of play.
Santana, I noticed, Ronnie, up in the strike zone, I believe, with intention. With his fastball against the right-handers, he gets up in that zone, out of the strike zone, and gets him to foul him back, and then he comes down with that sinker.
Yeah. Well, Nicky is, of all the catchers for the Mets, likes to call the fastball up.
Drilled to left again. Baxter diving to make the catch, and hustling back is Leake. And he returns safely, but a tremendous play by Mike Baxter, taking another extra base hit away from Zach Cozart.
Well, just a fantastic play. The only reason you make this play is that you are ready for the ball, you want the baseball, and it's just a great jump, Keith. How'd you see that one down there?
Well, I was kind of watching the flight of the ball. It was a rocket, and you know, it's all about positioning. That ball's 10 feet left or right. You know, that's a double into the wall here. So my reaction was I was watching the swing, so I followed the flight of the ball. I wasn't isolated. When you're down here, you don't have the isolation. You got to focus on one aspect of the game or one player. And my view was towards right field, Ron, towards the Mo zone.
So 2 out. Leake still at first, and here's Drew Stubbs. A bloop single and a ground out, 1 for 2. And a fastball just off the plate for ball 1.
Hey. Hi, Joey. How are you?
See somebody you know?
Joey Votto. They said hi. He said, hi, Joe. I'm just messing around here.
Just a meeting of Gold Glove first baseman.
We're just talking about how good a player you are, how good hitter you are. You doing all right? You look good. Swinging good.
Just a chance meeting in the ballpark, right?
Yes.
Now, Keith, as the former first baseman and hitter, is having a nice chat with Votto. Me as a pitcher, I'm like, get him in the on-deck circle. I mean, what is he? Look at that view he's getting.
He's blocking my view of
get him in the on-deck circle.
Joey. Get left.
1-2 to Stubbs. He struck him out with a changeup. 4th strikeout for Santana. He works his way through the 5th with a little help from his friend in left field. The Gold Glove MVP first baseman sharing some pleasantries, and Mike Baxter a great catch in left.
who are the only two pitchers to earn 40 saves in a season as a Met. Chew on that.
I got that one.
Top of the batting order, third time around against Mike Leake in a 1-1 game. Kirk Neuenhuis will lead off. Neuenhuis batting leadoff and playing center field tonight with Andres Torres getting a day off. Neuenhuis led off the first inning with a base hit, but was caught stealing, struck out in the third. And he takes a letter-high strike from Leake. Leake has gotten 6 ground ball outs over the first 4 innings, including all 3 batters in the last inning. And he throws wide, a ball and a strike.
Isn't it funny? You got a guy coming in 0-5 with an ERA over 7. And a start, Ronnie, that if he doesn't pitch well, he may be adios amigo, and he's dealing against a good lineup, a tough lineup.
Well, there's been talk in Cincinnati about the possibility of Aroldis Chapman coming out of the bullpen and joining the Reds starting rotation. Chapman has not been scored upon this year, and they've got a couple of relievers who will be coming off the disabled list soon.
Hard to do that in season. It'll be interesting to see how they do that. You know, it's not like Aroldis is Miguel Bautista, where, you know, he can pitch in many different roles, and, you know, throwing 90 pitches is not, knock on wood, going to hurt his arm.
But when Chapman came over from Cuba, the first thought was that he was going to be a starting pitcher. But to this point, he's been used out of the bullpen. In there, strike 3 called. So Neuenhuis is down looking. Second time that Leake has struck him out tonight.
Dusty Baker guy said today that he can't imagine where the Reds would be without Chapman's contributions in the bullpen, especially with, you know, Bill Gray going down and Ryan Madsen obviously out for the year as well. And, you know, that question was asked him today, you know, where does he end up? And he said, look, I can certainly envision him a starter, but really he has to graduate to that. He might be a closer, but he's got to graduate to that. Right now he's doing this very, very well, and he said he's going to stay there, Gary, at least today. That could certainly change tomorrow.
Curveball for a strike to Baxter, who had a base hit, stole the base, and scored the Mets run in the third. Well, the Mets have the same question that they're asking right now about Henry Mejia, who is down on rehab, and of course has both started and relieved in his major and minor league career. And Terry Collins was asked that question today about Mejia, and he talked around it a little bit, but at the end of the day, he said there's every reason to think you'll see Mejia in the Mets bullpen sometime this year. Phillips throws out Baxter, and that's the second out. SNY Super Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. So David Wright bats with 2 out and nobody on, and we'll see if Leake pitches around him again.
He might get a pitch to hit here with no one on base.
So Keith, if you're David in this spot and you've been pitched around, are you thinking about maybe muscling up a little bit with 2 out and nobody on?
No different approach. Just be aggressive, like David going after that first pitch fastball. He's seen this guy now. It's his third at bat. He's seen all of his pitches. So you can go up there hacking. There's no change. If you got a good eye at the plate, they pitch around you. You don't swing at the bad ones. I think he'll pitch to him here, Ron. I agree with you. I mean, there's no one on.
It's almost like clockwork, though. With Leake, if he comes in on you, he's not going to double up in. It's almost one in and then one away, back in.
And he comes inside and misses. It's 2-1.
He's mixed up his pitches. I mean, I haven't watched the monitor once, guys, only on replay. I'm just looking at this game as if a fan in a front row seat and watching intently here. He's moving the ball in and out well, Leake.
Is that your foot, by the way?
Yes, it is.
If you so you're looking at this like you're on the on deck circle, then, right? Trying to measure him. There it is.
Yes,
Zapatos.
Yes, blue socks. I got Met blue socks on.
You need something to lean that scorecard on?
No, it's okay. I'm fine.
Get you a book. On the inside corner and right down looking. And so Leake gets the Mets out 1-2-3.
5 strikeouts for Leake. He's retired 8 in a row. 1-1 after 5. Hall of Famers and players who created memories that will live on forever. Now the roll call begins as we count down the greatest talents to ever wear a Mets uniform. 50 Greatest Mets, presented by Citi, Thursday at 7 p.m. only on SNY. Joey Votto, Keith's best friend, leading off in the 6th inning. He's hit into a double play and walk tonight. A check swing fell right back in Keith's direction.
Just to my left. Showed no sign of panic.
Now he didn't chat with you on his way to the plate this time.
No, he's focused. He's got a hit, and this is my first left-hand hitter to look at too. I got a great view of the left-hand hitter.
The only left-handed bat in the lineup against Santana tonight.
See,
comes inside.
He keeps that front shoulder in, and he goes right in. That's why he hits lefties so well.
The problem that Votto has for a pitcher is that he can hit the ball as far to left center as he can to right center,
which especially helps in those tight dimensions in Cincinnati. Not quite as friendly here as a Great American Ballpark.
He is way off the plate.
2-2.
That's just a good eye. Good balance with that stride. This is I love this angle to watch a lefty. And if it was on the other side, it would be great to watch a right-hander.
Think you'll get a slider here at 3-2 from Santana?
Oh, you got me. Santana can throw anything.
And he does throw him off speed. It's hit deep to left, and back goes Baxter, and another fine play. Baxter going away this time.
The great part about that is that ball was drifting back over his shoulder, and he kind of kept a good enough angle to make that play. I think one of the most difficult things we don't talk about much about a guy who's on the bench all the time. You can take as many fly balls you want in practice. It's very hard to go out there and make the 2 fine catches he's made tonight.
Didn't exactly look the ball into his glove.
Well,
but it worked out for Baxter. That's 2 fine plays he's made on the last 3 hitters. Now Brandon Phillips takes one wide for ball 1.
And by the way, that was a very good at bat by Votto right there. You know, there's 8 guys out there, 9 guys really with gloves. You know, you fail 7 out of 10 times, you're considered great, but he's got to feel good about that at bat.
Phillips bounces one slowly to short, and Turner throws him out, 2 away.
Santana's only had 1-2-3 inning tonight. That was in the second. He's got a chance for one now. Let's check in with Chris Carlin. He's got a New York State Smokers quit line game break. Did they not have any awareness that Reyes was at third?
Who throws the ball to second with Reyes on third?
Wow, could have scored standing up. Here's Heisey, and he swings and misses at the changeup. Chris Heisey is flied to right and grounded into a fielder's choice. Santana up over 90 pitches as he works in the sixth. Would love to get 7 out of Santana tonight. And another good changeup, and it's 0-2.
Santana has these hitters at times talking to themselves.
Nicky is setting up outside again, and a third straight changeup misses. A ball and 2 strikes.
All right.
Ryan Ludwig would be next. One, 2, and Heisey fouls off the fastball. Another night where the Mets have not given Santana much run support. But he is through 6, having allowed just 1 of his own. 5 strikeouts now for Santana, with some more help from Mike Baxter in the 5th inning, robbing Zach Cozart with the dive. And here in the 6th, taking an extra base hit away from Votto. Still 1-1 at Citi Field.
One game of the 6th, and Lucas Duda trying to change that for the Mets as he's up against Mike Leake to lead it off here. Duda's had a good night so far with a couple of knocks. And, you know, I was talking to Lucas and Terry Collins about his approach, and that'll work. That's going to be another hit for Duda tonight. 3 for 3 is Duda. He starts the Mets off here in the 6th. And, you know, I talked to Duda about the approach. He's a big guy, a power guy, and he said, look, you know, I understand that against lefties, for example, my approach can be a little different. Situationally, it depends on where I am in the game. My approach is going to be a little different. I'm not going to go up there and hit home runs all the time. And Terry Collins has really drilled that into him. He said, look, my message to Lucas is simple, is that, you know, sometimes hits are just fine. Look at the game in Philly last week. 2 big hits against both lefty relievers that were huge runs. And he said, I told Lucas, here's the thing. Last year, you proved the ability to go the other way and go the other way with power. If you do that with confidence, you're going to get a lot of pitches to drive that way. Guys?
Well, it's working tonight due to 3 for 3. 2 base hits to right and 1 to center. Now Murphy, who's grounded out and flied out, started the night with an 11-game hitting streak, and Leake's been trying to keep the ball in on him all night. Third baseman Frazier playing well in on the grass as though he's expecting Murphy to bunt. Not much likelihood of that, the way Mercerman's swinging the bat.
He's backing up.
And he pulls one, and Votto with a great play, but he throws it away into left field. Duda takes off for third, and he'll make it safely. Votto made a play just like that a couple of weeks ago, but that's a play you don't make twice a year. And this time he threw it 25 feet wide of the mark.
Well, it's a nice job just to make this play, but that's ill-advised, trying to throw a ball from his back. And it cost the Reds and Votto. This ball deep into left field, but nice base running by Lucas. Once he sees the ball into left field, he really takes advantage, rounds that base, and goes hard to third base. Very nice base running.
So an error on Votto, the Gold Glove first baseman, and the Mets are in business here. First and third and nobody out. Ike Davis coming up. The Reds will concede the go-ahead run to try and get a double play. Davis 0 for 2 tonight, 0 for his last 16. And Ike pulls one over the bag. That's a fair ball down the line. Duda's in with the lead run. Murphy digging for third. He'll be held up there. Ike Davis snaps it 0 for 16 with an RBI double against his old college teammate Mike Leake. And the Mets lead it 2-1.
Well, again, I got something soft on that first pitch, a slider, and he hits it just by Joey Votto down the line. Caught some bad breaks, and balls have gone foul. This one stays fair for Ike Davis down the line. And by the time Heisey gets to it, of course, a run in for the Mets.
So a feel-good hit for Davis as the Mets take advantage of the Votto ill-advised play. And the Mets lead for the first time tonight. Jose Arredondo is up in the bullpen for the Reds. Santana now 1 run to the good. Now his turn is still 2 batters away. Mets will have the bullpen cranking here to give Terry the option. Santana's at 95 pitches through 6 innings. Meanwhile, the Mets will look to tack on against Leake before Santana's turn comes up. Bobby Parnell up in the Mets bullpen. If you recall, in his last start, similar situation, 7th inning in Miami, Santana had thrown 6. It was only at 82 pitches, and Terry batted for him. Here's Turner, 2nd and 3rd, and nobody out, and the Reds bring the infield most of the way in. And it's ball 1 to Turner. Keith is back with us. And Keith, I mentioned when Votto threw that ball away that he made a play like that, a very similar play to that a couple of weeks ago, but boy, that's a hard play to make twice.
Well, he didn't have to throw it from his feet. The ball was a bullet, and I was on the other side, on the first base side. That was a rocket.
Turner lifts one down the line. That's going to go foul.
He made a heck of a play to backhand, and I don't know why he had felt the necessity to throw it on his back. He could have tagged first and then gotten the lead runner. Either way, I probably would have tagged first and then thrown and get the double play with a tag at second. You know, and there's a difference. It's a mistake in the ball game now, and Leake, who's cruising, hasn't seemed to recover from that. And one thing too, I was on the other side, guys. All those hits to right field, they were ripped. You can get an idea of how hard they're hit. Nothing cheap about them.
Big spot here for Turner with Leake at 100 pitches for the night. And Justin takes it wide. Turner 4 for 12 with runners in scoring position this year, after hitting .350 in those spots last year. Andres Torres getting the night off tonight with a bat in his hands, a prospective pinch hitter. Mike Nickius on deck and Santana behind him. And Turner pops it up. Phillips waiting for it to come down. And that's the first out of the inning. So Murphy holds at third, Davis at second with one out, and now Mike Nicky is coming up. So play manager for us, guys. If Nickius, say, strikes out in this spot, do you bat for Santana now that you have a 1-run lead?
I do.
And if he gets a base hit, do you still bat for him if you have a 3-run lead?
I don't. I don't. If he has a 3-run lead, I let him go out there and pitch a 7th. But if you only have a 1-run lead and you know Santana can only go one more inning anyways, I would want to try to go for the jugular, get 2 more in.
So now Nickius is 0 for 2, and the infield stays halfway. The squeeze is on, and Nickius gets the bunt down. 2 games in a row, the Mets pull off the suicide squeeze. Murphy scores, and it's 3-1. How about that?
Well, what a great job by Nickius. This is a breaking pitch outside about 6 inches. Still gets it down, Keith.
Yeah, I almost thought that Leake thought that he had a shot to shovel the ball home, but he realized it was too late. Just a perfect bunt, and gosh, Terry Collins is pushing all the right buttons. I like everything he does.
So now with a 2-run lead, Santana will stay into bat. I'll say this, it's very rare that you see a team run a suicide squeeze with 2nd and 3rd and a position player up, because a base hit in that spot plates 2 runs.
But Mike has struggled the past 2 nights and decided to take a shot.
I think it added to the element of surprise as well.
Murph almost left too quick.
Yeah.
I think it just caught the Reds completely off by surprise.
Santana pops one up, and Votto stands under it. That ends the inning, but the Mets rally for a couple of runs. Ike Davis with an RBI double after the error by Votto opened the door. And then the suicide squeeze by Nickius makes it 3-1 Mets after 6. The only 2 pitchers to earn 40 saves in a season for the Mets. Armando Benitez was one, and Billy Wagner was the other. John Franco's high total was 38. He did that in 1998.
I almost thought Jeff Reardon saved 40, but I guess not, obviously.
Not for the Mets.
No.
That's right. He did with Montreal, correct?
No, I missed the Benitez era. So, if I was just landing from a spaceship, I would look at those numbers and go, boy, he was some kind of reliever.
He was fantastic.
Yes, he was.
For the first 5 months of the season. It was the big spots where Armando had a little bit of difficulty connecting.
I get it.
But on a day-to-day basis, you couldn't ask for a more dominant closer than Benitez was. Ryan Ludwig has popped up and walked. Johan Santana working with the lead for the first time against the 6, 7, and 8 hitters in the 7th inning. By the way, I said that Nikias' squeeze was the second in 2 games for the Mets. Of course, it was the second in 3 games.
Okay.
Mets got shut out yesterday. They pulled off the successful squeeze with Cedeno on Monday.
You know what it also says too, Gare, is that these Met players are paying attention, because how many missed signs do you get in the course of the year? I remember when I was a young kid, there were so many missed signs. They're not missing signs. They're on point.
It's very interesting that you mentioned that, Keith, as Ludwig fouls it off, because about 3 weeks ago, Terry Collins was complaining that his team was missing a ton of signs.
Right.
And he felt as though the signs were a little too complicated, so they simplified things. And Terry says the last 2.5 weeks, they haven't missed a single sign. So I think that also bespeaks a real maturity on Terry's part to be able to say, okay, I need to make an adjustment here. And it seems to have paid off. Popped up. Davis calls off Nikias, makes the play on Ludwig. 1 away.
Well, that was interesting, because we know what happened last year to Ike, but Santana was over there. He was yelling Ike's name and making sure that trying to decide, help out Nikias to get out of that way, and then there just in case.
I don't know if you were watching, Ronnie, when the Mets played in Colorado, which was the scene of Davis's injury last year. There was a mile-high pop-up, and everybody else in the infield ran the other way.
I did see that.
Left Ike all by his lonesome. Todd Frazier hits one to deep right center field. Duda going back onto the track, back at the wall, and it's out of here. Todd Frazier with his 2nd home run of the season, and he cuts the Mets lead to 3-2. So the local kid from Toms River, New Jersey, comes home and hits an opposite field home run.
Well, nice adjustment by Frazier. 2 Ks in his first time up. Middle of the plate, Keith, with that fastball.
Yes, and down in the zone. Mid-thigh. Oh, just out of room. Nice effort by Lucas.
Only the 3rd home run Santana's allowed this year. Now it's a 1-run Met lead, and Devin Mesorasko drops one to the left field, and that's a base hit. So now the tying run is aboard for the Reds. And the former Met Miguel Cairo has a bat in his hands. Looks like he'll pinch hit for a Leak. Now check it. It's going to be Leak staying in. Cairo was in the on-deck circle, but with the tying run at second base, Dusty Baker's going to leave Leak in to bunt.
What, 2 for 2? You're going to keep him in? Well, I'm surprised.
Well, I think he'll probably bunt here to get the runner in scoring position.
And he might come out of the game at that point. He might not be pitching the next inning, but he's probably a better bunter than anybody else the Reds have available.
You've got the best bullpen probably in the National League.
And statistically, they are that. So, with 1 out and the go-ahead, the tying run at first, Mets look for the bunt from Leak, and he drops one foul for strike 1.
I just don't think I would do this. I think I would try to play for a big inning, but
check that. That was ball 1 to Leak.
It was hard to tell, Gary, but I think he pulled it back just in time.
That's bunted foul, and it's 1-1. Zach Cozart has already driven in a run tonight and been robbed of another extra base hit, waiting on deck. Another night when the Mets have had trouble with the bottom of a batting order. It was the case for Dylan G again last night. And Santana in a 1-run game. And Leak set to swing, and he fouls it off. So they took the bunt off. Jose Arredondo staying busy in the bullpen, which makes you think maybe Leak's going to come out after this turn at bat. He's thrown 104 pitches through 6 innings. Mesoraco runs pretty well for a catcher. The tying run at first. Leake showing bunt with 2 strikes now, and he drops one down and he keeps it fair. Santana has to go to first with it. So after swinging and getting to 2 strikes, they put the bunt back on 1 and 2, and he moves the runner over. 1-3 on the sacrifice.
Well, Mr. Leake, that's a nice 3 at bats for him this evening. 2 hits, and here on 2 strikes, perfect form. Down low, catch the ball on the outside of your bat, on the end of your bat to deaden it, and perfectly right down the line. You just have the great fielder Santana, of course, with the nice play.
Ike has got to shift with that play. To see the momentum of that play forced Santana into foul territory as he takes a leave. Ike's got to shift to the outside foul territory of the bag.
So with the tying run at second, Santana comes out of the game. The call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon Fios. Welcome to America's fastest, most consistent, most reliable internet. Welcome to Life on Fios. Bullpen can get 7 outs and get him a win. Bobby Parnell comes in to face Zach Cozart with the tying run at second, and the curveball in for a strike. Cozart drove in the first Reds run with a double to left in the third, and Baxter robbed him of a double in the fifth. Look at those walk numbers for Parnell. 3 walks and 16 in the third. Now able to throw a breaking ball for a strike when he needs one.
How's that look, Keith?
That looks a little better. Got to dial it up a notch if you're hitting here.
Tim Burdick staying ready for Joey Votto, who's 2 batters away. 1-1 to Cozart. And that misses wide at 96. 2-1.
Yeah, he threw that one harder.
Drew Stubbs would be next. A home run by Todd Frazier has gotten the Reds within a run. Parnell trying to strand a runner. Something he's had trouble doing in limited chances this year. And the curveball bounced foul, and it's 2-2.
Boy, do we think we'd ever see Bobby Parnell make the transformation to starting the hitter with a curveball to start, then getting to a count where he's behind and able to throw a curveball for a strike to get back in the at bat.
Well, it's a pitch he didn't even have until late last season. But he has made that a prime weapon. Now he's gone to 2-2 against the rookie shortstop Cozart. Struck him out with a high fastball.
Bobby Parnell dialing it up to get Cozart and keeps Santana and the Mets in the lead. 7th inning stretch, 3-2 New York. He helped the YMNYWHA of Washington Heights and Inwood expand their program and purchase much-needed equipment with the SNY Play Ball Award. Now it's your turn. Help your youth baseball or softball league with a $5,000 grant. Apply for the SNY Play Ball Award presented by Citi today at sny.tv/playball. Jose Arredondo comes out of the Cincinnati bullpen.
Who burst on the scene as a rookie with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim when he got 10 wins in his rookie year and 52 appearances.
And Tommy John surgery a couple of years ago. Now in his second year with the Reds. Top of the batting order for New York with the Mets up a run. And Nieuwenhuis takes a breaking ball for a strike. Nieuwenhuis single to left in the first. He's struck out twice since. So Mike Leake leaves after 6 innings. And after taking the time at bat in the top of the 7th to bunt, Leake threw 105 pitches, allowed 7 hits over 6 innings, 3 runs, but only 1 of them earned. He walked 2, struck out 5, and he's on the short end of this 3-2 score. Arredondo, part of statistically the best bullpen in the National League. Nieuwenhuis hooks one toward the hole, but Votto gets over to play it, and Arredondo covers for the first out. So Votto, whose error opened the door for the Mets in the 6th, makes a nice play that time. 1 away, and Mike Baxter coming up. Baxter's 1 for 3, single, stole a base, scored a run in the 3rd, and he's made 2 outstanding plays in left field. And that's where Keith has been stationed for the last 4 innings. Hi, Keith.
How are you? I miss you.
Are people being nice to you down there?
Yeah, they're being very respectful. They know that I'm working. Obviously better. I got the headphones on. Now I went over the other side, and for a half inning I had to leave because I didn't have any gear on, and people were out wanting autographs and wanting pictures, and more importantly they were wanting to buy me a beer, and I said, hey, I'm working, can't do that.
Did you buy them a beer?
No, I didn't bring my wallet down. I'm broke.
You got credit here, though. Baxter goes down to the changeup, and Arredondo has his first strikeout.
Well, these changeups tend to be very effective from the right-hander Arredondo, who throws straight over the top, and you can see how that ball just fades, starts in the middle, and just fades to that outside corner.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Arredondo will take on David Wright, who's walked twice tonight and taken a call third strike. David started the night with a 9-game hitting streak. See that on base percentage at an even .500 now, leading the major leagues. John Roush up in the Mets bullpen. Two and 0 now to Wright. Now, Keith, you saw a couple of starting pitchers tonight who did not overpower anybody.
Right.
And now you've seen Parnell and you see Arredondo, who throw a little harder than that. Can you tell the difference better from down there than you might from up here in terms of pitcher stuff?
Well, the big difference is Parnell. Arredondo is a little bit harder, throwing a little harder than Leake, but Parnell is noticeably got more giddy up on the fastball.
And is down there a better perspective to be able to divine the difference?
It's this angle's off, Gary. If I could get further closer behind the umpire, just over his left shoulder or over his right shoulder, would be a better angle, because I'm looking at the ball almost in a, I don't know what this angle would be, but 30 degrees, 20 degrees. It's kind of hard to, as you said in your terms, divine the difference. But Parnell, it's just night and day over everybody else. And when he struck out the hitter, the end of the inning, the high fastball, that was some serious cheddar.
98 on the gun. Now the 3-2 coming from Arredondo, and Wright hits one back through the originator and right at Phillips, who is playing him perfectly. And so David is 0 for 2 tonight, and Arredondo has a 1-2-3 inning. Now the Reds will come up in the 8th. Votto will get a turn at bat in a 1-run game. And Reds wrap up this quick set. 12:30 the coverage tomorrow afternoon. R.A. Dickey pitches against Matt Latos. And then the Mets head out to Toronto. 12:30 tomorrow right here on SNY. By the way, the Mets are getting Ricky Romero Friday night in Toronto. Brandon Morrow on Saturday, guy who throws 98. And then Henderson Alvarez, who may be the most talented pitcher they have. Those are the three best the Blue Jays can throw at you.
Go get them. Ooh.
Well, John Roush comes in to pitch the 8th. Interesting bullpen management here by Terry Collins as Drew Stubbs leads off the inning. You got Joey Votto, the left-hand bat on deck, and Tim Burdak's up in the bullpen. Bobby Parnell came and got the last out in the 7th. Didn't leave for a pinch hitter. So why Roush and not Parnell to start the inning?
Hit hard and past the glove of Davis. A base hit for Stubbs. So the tying run is aboard. Votto's coming up, and we'll see if Burdack comes in right here.
Well, I like Burdack here for a couple of reasons. One, you got the lefty-lefty, but also when you bring a left-handed pitcher in, Stubbs probably has the most speed of anyone in that lineup. You keep him at first base.
Well, Burdack is up. Votto is the only left-hand hitter in the lineup, but apparently he's just up for show. We're waiting for Jay Bruce to pinch hit. So Votto will bat against Roush, and Votto is 0 for 2 against Roush in his career.
Well, you can't use you can't use Ramirez because he put 2 1/3, and if you left Parnell in there, then you still got Roush out there. You can bring in Burdack to face Votto.
That's why it's a little curious. There's a strike.
Votto's got good numbers against Burdack, though, if you went that way.
Right. And interestingly, Burdack has very good numbers against Brandon Phillips, who's on deck. That would be an unconventional move. Line the other way, a base hit for Votto, and the Reds have the table set. Stubbs motoring around second as they have trouble coming up with the ball. Votto going to second, and he's in safely. Little confusion out there in the outfield between Neuenhuis and Baxter, and it winds up being a double for Votto.
Well, that's a bad play there. Neuenhuis has got to come get that. Baxter's got to get out of the way. Easier play for Neuenhuis to get there and throw across his body, but that little bit of a glitch allowed Votto to take the extra base.
That is just good hustle right there, and 2 opposite field hits, guys.
So now with the Mets clinging to a 1-run lead, the Reds have second and third and nobody out, and Brandon Phillips the batter. The infield will stay back. They'll concede the tying run on a ground ball. Phillips is 0 for 3, grounded out twice and flied out. And Roush paints the outside corner, 0-1.
My feeling is, Gary, is that Parnell has the best stuff of anyone in that bullpen, and if you're not going to use him as a closer, boy, wear him out being the bridge.
Now we say all this without knowing. Bobby came out of the game after striking out his man in the 7th. Who knows whether there was some issue there or whether they just didn't want him to sit down and come back out again. But especially with Ramirez not available, it's curious to use Parnell for just that one batter. Chris Heisey on deck, and Phillips hits a rocket through the middle, a base hit. Stubbs comes in with the tying run. Here comes Votto. He'll be stopped by Mark Berry, the third base coach. And so the game is tied, and the Reds have runners at first and third. So Phillips drives home Stubbs. Santana can no longer win, and the Reds have gotten even with 3 straight hits against Roush in the 8th.
And up the middle here into the opposite side of second base. So everybody going really up the middle opposite field on Roush.
That's a good game plan, Keith. He does not pitch in to either side.
And watch Mark Berry, guys. He is aggressively waving the runner on. I had a great view of it. And in the last minute, he holds him up. He comes down the line. That's how you do it.
A good call as Neuenhuis made a strong one-hop throw. Now Chris Heisey, he pops one up. Davis back in foul ground. He's under it, and he makes the grab, and no move by Votto at third as Davis runs the ball in. That's the first out of the inning. Let's check in with Chris Carlin. New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. Well, now with the game tied and the Reds with runners at first and third and 1 out, Jay Bruce, who was getting the day off today with Santana starting, will come off the bench to try and get the lead run home. And now is where Terry Collins was saving Tim Burdack for. Well, he knew Bruce was looming and that he might come up sometime in this inning. And so Roush will come out. Burdack will come in to face Bruce with the game on the line in the 8th. We'll be right back. Responsible for the 2 on base, and Tim Burdack will come in to try and bail him out.
Well, 2 seasons ago, Bruce hit a big home run up against Tim Burdack when he was with Houston, but has not been that way since, as he's done a nice job against Bruce.
Votto is the go-ahead run. He's at third. Phillips, who can run, is at first. Bruce pinch hitting for Ryan Ludwig. DJ Carrasco was at the center of last night's events, is up in the bullpen. Burdack very heavily used early in the season, but usually one batter at a time. And he'll square off here against Bruce, who is 4 for 10 against Burdack with 2 home runs in his career.
Well, they're going to play back for 2 on the middle infielders here.
There's the fireballing Aroldis Chapman up in the Reds bullpen. So here's Bruce against Burdack. First and third, 1 out, and a breaking ball hit in the air to deep right field. Back goes Duda onto the warning track. Right at the wall, he makes the catch, but tagging at third is Votto. He comes in with the lead run, and the Reds go in front 4-3. Well, Bruce just missed that ball. Could have had a 3-run homer, but he settles for a sacrifice fly to get the lead run in.
He had a beautiful swing, sorry, Ronnie, on this pitch. Let me tell you, I had a great view of it. And that ball just got out. You saw it was up in the strike zone. It just got out enough towards the end of the bat. That would have been, if it was 3 more inches over the plate, that would have been a bomb.
Well, it's out in their ballpark.
By a long shot. So now Todd Frazier coming up, and Terry Collins coming out, and DJ Carrasco is coming in. So Carrasco comes in to face Todd Frazier. 2 runs home for the Reds. They lead 4-3, and we'll be right back. Is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. Mets trailed 1-0, led 3-1. Now they're down 4-3. And DJ Carrasco, who when we last saw him was being ejected after hitting Ryan Braun last night, comes in to try and get the final out of the top of the 8th.
Yeah, faced 2 batters in that inning. Weeks with a home run, and then Braun, of course, the hit by pitch.
Brought in to face Todd Frazier, who homered to right center in the 7th to get the Reds within a run. His 2nd home run of the season. Phillips on at first with 2 out. 2 runs home here in the 8th. 3 straight hits off Roush, who's been charged with both runs in the inning. Aroldis Chapman having trouble holding the ball, but getting ready for the bottom of the 8th.
He's left-handed.
You never dropped them. And a high fly ball deep center field. Back goes Neuenhuis to the track at the wall. It's
It's off the top and out of here. It cleared the orange line for a 2-run homer, the second of the night for Todd Frazier, and the second home run given up in 2 nights by Carrasco. It's now 6-3 Cincinnati.
Oh, what a rally here. This ball a little hanging slider, Keith.
Yeah, hanging and flat. And out of here.
Hit off the apple casing. A bomb of a home run by the New Jersey native and Rutgers product Frazier. So a 4-run inning for the Reds against the Mets bullpen.
And let's not forget, every hit in this game was hit hard and opposite field up the middle.
Treating Citi Field like Williamsport.
Or Great American Ballpark. As Rocco takes outside. So Johan Santana left with the lead, but the bullpen unable to secure it for him. It'll be a no decision for Johan tonight. First 3 runs in the inning charged to John Roush, and the last one to Carrasco, who in his tenure as a Met has accomplished nothing. He had a horrible season last year. He got hurt during spring training this year, and he's come back and he has gotten roasted the last 2 nights. And didn't win a whole lot of friends when he hit Ryan Braun last night to boot. Now the 1-2 to Mesoraco, and it's in there for a call, 3rd strike. That puts the end to an ugly inning for the Mets bullpen. Phillips and Bruce with RBIs. Frazier with a 2-run homer, and it's 6-3 Cincinnati.
Thank you. Thank you. Brought to you by Twisted Tea, hard iced tea. 1870, the Cincinnati Red Stockings won 130 straight. Sure, they were the only team paying their players.
That's right.
And that was the Wright brothers.
Early on, I remember they had to forfeit some of their games because they refused to not play on Sunday and they refused to stop selling beer.
Jay Bruce stays in the game in right. Chris Heisey moves to left, and the 100-mile-an-hour throwing Aroldis Chapman comes on to pitch.
Well, this should be a real treat for Keith down there in the front row because just about no one in the game of baseball throws as hard as this young man.
Well, you know what, Ron? Give me a bat. Let me at him.
Really?
Well, Judah will get the first crack instead of you, Keith.
Right now you want him?
No, thanks. I'm perfect right here where I'm at.
Well, Lucas is already 3 for 3 tonight. 3 singles, 2 to right and 1 to center. He's driven in a run. He's scored a run. All of that against Mike Leake. And now facing the fireballing left-hander Chapman.
I will watch intently, guys.
And the first pitch at 97 is high out of the strike zone.
Well, Keith, you were talking earlier in the game and in the open about facing a guy that, you know, not fear is not the word, but the word right below it, I would think. You get your attention. How about that?
Yes, he does. He's got a nice motion, too, Ron.
We have a new catcher in the game for the Reds as well. Ryan Hannigan has come in to catch. Daniel Murphy on deck. And I wonder whether that has anything to do with Chapman coming in to pitch, whether they feel Hannigan could handle him better.
Well, Hannigan is an outstanding defensive catcher.
Oh, good cut.
A quick bat, but fouls it off.
That was his best fastball.
And this is a great swing by Lucas.
Yes, it is.
Now the 2-2 from Chapman, and Duda takes a call, third strike. He threw him a breaking ball and got him looking.
Not a sweeper, Keith, just straight over the top, just a tiny little break.
I think it has some plate. That's a hanger, Ronnie.
Yep. But you know, when you're geared up for 100 miles an hour, any kind of wrinkle can sometimes fool you. Boy, that long arm action drops it almost to the ground.
Look at that torque on the elbow, Ronnie.
Wow.
That was a great shot.
So 1 out now. Daniel Murphy is 0 for 3, and he pulls one down to first where Votto handles it. And Chapman covers 2 out. As you drive around the majors, presented by Mazda, the Nats a half game behind the Braves starting the night, leading Pittsburgh 7-4 behind Adam LaRoche. That game is now in the 9th. The Marlins up 8-4 on the Braves. Guillermo Stanton has his 8th home run. That called Guillermo? Giancarlo, of course.
You did call him Guillermo.
That's his middle name.
That's a fine.
Well, Guillermo, I was thinking of Willie Montanez.
There you go.
Here's Ike Davis, who had a run-scoring double his last time up, snapping an 0 for 16 stretch, and he takes a strike from Chapman. By the way, for the second straight night, the Mets have yielded a player's first career 2-home run game. Travis Ishikawa last night, Todd Frazier tonight. 0-2 now to Ike.
Those pitches strikes, Ronnie?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
They're nasty.
Ron, Ike is, I think he's just shaking his head, and not that he thinks the pitch is outside, but he thinks he's going to make a mistake or something.
Maybe just disbelief at the stuff by Chapman. A 90-mile-an-hour slider gets him, and Chapman with a dominant 1-2-3 inning. We go to the 9th at Citi Field. Reds up 6-3. Frazier that turned a 1-run Cincinnati lead into a 3-run lead. Now rookie Mike Costanzo will bat for the pitcher Chapman, leading off in the top of the 9th. Costanzo looking for his first big league hit, and he fouls it off. Sean Marshall, who's been serving as the Reds closer after the season-ending injury to Ryan Madsen, is up in the bullpen for the Reds. Costanzo, a 28-year-old rookie. He's a Chanticleer from Coastal Carolina.
Nice.
Ike makes the play himself, and Costanzo still hitless in the big leagues. 1 out and nobody on. Let's see what's coming up tonight on Geico's Sports Night. Check in with Gary Apple in the studio. Gary?
Gary, thanks so much. Coming up tonight on Geico Sports Night, going ahead the latest on the Rangers and Devils, and the Giants get their Super Bowl rings. We'll hear from Eli tonight. Back to you guys.
Here's Zach Cozart with 1 out and nobody on. Cozart 1 for 4 tonight, drove in the first Cincinnati run with a double in the 3rd. And he hits the first pitch from Carrasco out to center field, and Neuenhuis tracks it for the 2nd out. So 2 quick outs for Carrasco in the 9th.
I've been pretty impressed with his at-bats tonight, the young shortstop.
Remember, he was up with the Reds for about 2 weeks last year, and then he hurt his elbow making a tag on his non-throwing arm, had Tommy John surgery, but the Reds were raving about the way he played for that brief period of time last year.
I think Giannis got hurt, right, for a while, and he came up.
So 2 out. Now Drew Stubbs, who's 2 for 4 tonight. He got their 8th inning rally started with a hard single to right against John Roush. Johan Santana went 6 2/3, allowed 2 runs, 6 hits, left with the lead. Bobby Parnell protected it for him, striking out Cozart to end the 7th. But then Roush started the 8th, gave up 3 straight hits. Burdack gave up the go-ahead sacrifice fly to Jay Bruce, and then Carrasco's first pitch to Todd Frazier disappeared over the center field fence. And the Reds had 4 runs in a blink of an eye to take a 6-3 lead. And it's off the foot of Carrasco. Nice deflection right to Turner for the 1-6-3 putout. And that ends the inning. So the Mets will come up in the bottom of the 9th, down by 3 to face Sean Marshall. In the opener of this 2-game series with the Reds. And Sean Marshall, who came over from the Cubs in the deal for Travis Wood, looks to close things out for Cincinnati.
Well, he has really built a fine career. Started as a starter for the Cubs in the last 2 seasons, over 150 games, 13 wins, and over here in Cincinnati in the same division. Now the closer.
Wasn't part of the plan. The Reds signed the former Philly Ryan Madsen to be their closer, but he blew out his elbow, and Marshall inherited the job. And his first pitch breaking ball misses to Justin Turner. Turner, Nickius, and the pitcher's spot due up for the Mets in the last of the ninth. It was a feel-good night for most of the evening for the Mets. They grabbed the lead in the 6th. A double by Davis drove in the go-ahead run. Nickius had a suicide squeeze. Things were going well for Santana. But Johan allowed a home run to Todd Frazier, and then the bullpen gave up 4 runs in the 8th, and the Mets are staring at their 2nd straight loss, barring a big rally against Marshall in the 9th. There's a strike, 2-1.
Any kind of luck, Santana could be 4, 5, 2, 5-1.
Well, he's got a 2.89 ERA after 8 starts. That certainly deserves better than 1 win and 2 losses. There's the slider by Marshall, and it's 2-2. Let's check out the Mets box score presented by Verizon Fios. Lucas Duda's 2nd 3-hit game of the year. He had one Saturday in Miami. Mike Nickius with the suicide squeeze bunt. The Mets 2nd in 3 games. And Ike Davis snapping an 0 for 16 with that RBI double, but not enough to overcome another rough night for the bullpen. Marshall's 2-2 to Turner, and the breaking ball pulled down to 3rd. Frazier's got it. 1 away. Time to check in with the studio, see what's coming up on WB Mason Post Game Live. Chris Carlin and Bobby Ojeda, guys. So here's Mike Nickius, 0 for 2 with that suicide squeeze bunt in the 6th that put the Mets up 3-1. But the Mets have not had a base runner since, as the Reds bullpen, the best in the league, has retired 7 in a row. And Marshall gets one over for a strike. Scott Hairston out on deck to pinch hit.
Well, Brian Price there behind Chris Spire, the pitching coach for the Reds. Not many times in this day of specialization with lefties where you see a bullpen come in and have a lefty pitch the 8th and trying to have a lefty pitch the 9th.
Well, with Chapman, I don't think it matters.
Yeah, of course.
Of course, the Mets have had some pretty fair luck with left-handed closers over the years,
right,
whether it be Jesse Orozco or Randy Myers or John Franco or Billy Wagner. Marshall ahead 1-2 on Nickius. By the way, we haven't mentioned it, but Josh Tolley, we saw him in the dugout a little bit earlier, and he has been cleared for some physical activity now. Not baseball activity yet, but he'll be able to get up off the couch now and do some stuff. Coming back from his concussion.
He'll have to do some, at least a couple of minor league games, won't he?
Here's Josh.
Get some at-bats, maybe?
And it may be a week or 2 before he's ready to come back. He's going to take it slow. As Josh said yesterday, it's probably his 4th concussion that he can recall.
Wow.
And Nicky is down swinging on the breaking ball. So Marshall's retired the first 2, and the Mets are down to their last out. And Scott Hairston will try and keep the game alive.
Marshall has always had the big curveball, pretty good fastball, but he's done a nice job of working in that slider now that he throws to righty.
Hairston looking for his first hit as a pinch hitter this year. He's gone 0 for 9. Overall hitting at .229 for the year. If Hairston could keep it going, Kirk Neuenhuis scheduled next, but Andres Torres out on deck to pinch hit to get the Mets a right-handed bat against Marshall. And now it's 2-0 to Hairston. There are your city probables for the day game tomorrow. R.A. Dickey going for his 6th win. Matt Latos came over from San Diego in the trade in the offseason. 12:30 the coverage here on SNY. And there's a breaking ball strike.
It's been a little uneven for Latos in the beginning of this year, but Mets know that he's got the stuff to put up big ball games.
Question with Latos has always been more about maturity than his ability to pitch. Hit hard toward the hole, and Hairston's got his first pinch hit of the year. So the Mets remain alive. Now they need one more base runner to get the tying run to the plate, and Andres Torres will come up to pinch hit. So Torres batting for Nieuwenhuis, who went 1 for 4 tonight. Andres' bat has cooled down. He is 0 for his last 13. Batting here to get a right-handed bat up against Marshall. Ronnie Cedeno out on deck to bat for Mike Baxter if he does. Right before that pitch, the third baseman Frazier came rushing in at third base, figuring Torres in this spot would be apt to bunt.
Well, he didn't figure. He fell asleep. He was playing back, and the coach was probably screaming at him, telling him, come in, come in.
You know, you have 2 home runs, but hey, what's the 9th?
Let's go.
Torres takes the fastball high, 1-1. Well, Andres has to do whatever he can to get on and get that tying run to bat and give the Mets a chance.
Well, get to David Wright if you can, huh?
Cedeno on deck to bat for Baxter. Nobody up in the bullpen for the Reds. This is all on Marshall. And a little tapper. Marshall off the mound. Makes the toss, and the ball game is over. So the Reds rally for 4 in the 8th against the Mets bullpen and take the opener of this 2-game series. Big day for the New Jersey native Todd Frazier as he hits 2 home runs for the first time in his career, and the Reds win it 6-3.
Well, for Dusty Baker's squad, a good comeback, just a forgettable evening late for the bullpen in this game for Terry Collins and the Mets. Santana and Leake pitched to almost a draw.
Well, also 2 hitting streaks were stopped tonight. David Wright's hitting streak went 0 for 2 was stopped, and Murph went 0 for 4. Rarity stopped his hitting streak.
So the Reds, taking advantage of the Mets bullpen, take the opening game of this series. 6-3 the final. Back to Citi Field in just a moment.